Hello and welcome to TOS TV, your digital first Pan-African network. I'm Adesu Suyi and this is Africa Now. The United Nations mission in Mali said 20 UN peacekeepers were wounded in central Mali on Wednesday when their base came under fire. The base near the town of Douetsa was attacked around 700 GMT. The UN peacekeeping mission known as MINUSMA said in a statement. It, however, did not say who was responsible. Islamist group linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State regularly attack UN peacekeepers and Malian soldiers in the area, which the militants use as a base for attacks across the Sahel region south of the Sahara Desert. We have been conducting numerous security operations in this part of Mali for several months now, said Mohamed Saleh Al-Nadif, the head of MINUSMA. These operations disturb the enemies of peace, but we remain committed to stand by the Malians for the Malians. MINUSMA has over 13,000 troops to contain violence caused by armed groups in the north and center of the country. The mission was recorded about 230 fatalities since 2013, making it the worst hit of the UN's more than a dozen peacekeeping missions. The International Red Cross Society has said that Ethiopia's embattled northern region of Tigray remains largely inaccessible, leading to starvation and deaths. Speaking at a press conference, President of the Ethiopian Red Cross Society, Abera Tola, said 80% of Tigray is unreachable at this particular time. People in Tigray need everything: food and food items, water and sanitation, medical supplies and mobile clinics. And humanitarian organizations need access to Tigray to reach the most vulnerable. This is a call to hold the parties involved. Give us safe and unhindered access, respect our teams, respect the medical doctors, respect the health facilities, respect the health workers, said Francesco Rocca, president of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. Humanitarian workers and diplomats say ongoing insecurity has hampered aid response. The Ethiopian Red Cross now estimates that around 3.8 million of the region's almost 6 million people need humanitarian assistance. This figure is up from an earlier estimate of 2.4 million, according to Abera Tola. Ethiopian President Sahle Work Zewde on Wednesday wrapped up a two-day visit to Burundi. Zewde was in the Central African country at the invitation of President Evariste Ndayishimiye, I beg your pardon. President Zewde was received on arrival by Burundi President together with other senior government officials, according to a statement released by the presidency. The two leaders discussed strengthening bilateral relations. Sahle Work Zewde commended Burundi's contribution to various peacekeeping missions, particularly in Somalia and the Central African Republic. In a press briefing by Albert Shingiro, Burundi's foreign minister, Shingiro noted that His Excellency Evariste Ndayishimiye appreciated Ethiopia's substantial participation in peacekeeping missions in Africa, particularly in Somalia. Her visit comes at a time when Burundi continues to open to the world under the administration of President Evariste Ndayishimiye, who came into office in June last year, ending years of isolation under late leader Pierre Nkurunziza. This is Africa Now on TOS TV Network. More stories from the African continent after the break. Thanks for staying tuned. On to political stories. The Ugandan government has announced the full restoration of internet and social media services. This is coming after it was severely restricted on the eve of 14 January presidential election. We apologize for the inconveniences caused, but this was for the security of our country, Peter Ongwang, State Minister for ICT and National Guidance, tweeted, admonishing Ugandans to be constructive rather than destructive consumers and users of social media. President Yoweri Museveni at the time accused social media companies of being arrogant and biased. The development comes as Facebook said it had shut down more than 200 accounts linked to the ruling party's campaign. The social media company alleged that the accounts were seeking to spread misinformation and to manipulate public debate ahead of the highly contested poll. South African drugs company Aspen has avoided a European Union antitrust fine after it agreed to slash price on 6 cancer drugs. The firm agreed to cut by as much as 75% the cost for medicine used for the treatment of some forms of blood cancer, including leukemia. An investigation launched in 2017 by the European Commission found the company had abused its dominance and was at some point threatening to hike prices and even threatening to withdraw drugs if it didn't get its way. Today's decision gives a strong signal to other dominant pharmaceutical companies not to engage in abusive pricing practices to exploit our health system, says Margrethe Vestager, European Commission competition chief. The prices will return to the levels they were in 2012 and remain in force for 10 years, and the company has committed to maintain the supply of drugs, the Commission said. The South Africa Department of Environment, Forestry and Fisheries say there are indications that collaborative law efforts to combat rhino poaching are working. The latest statistics show a 33% decline, with 394 rhino lost to poaching last year compared to 594 in 2019. 245 of the rhinos were killed in the Kruger National Park. The department's head of communication, Albert Modise, says the lockdown appears to have slowed down poaching. The arrest at the airport of Chiang-Ling, who was arrested and found in possession of rhino horn without a permit, was sentenced to 5 years. That is an example that despite the fact that the lockdown had closed the country and limited movement, there were those who continued with rhino poaching, explains Modise. You are still watching Africa Now on TOS TV Network. Ahead are stories on business and sports. Welcome back. In business, African finance ministers are requesting for $500 billion special drawing rights to enable their countries' response to the COVID-19 pandemic, according to a statement by the Economic Commission for Africa. During the virtual meeting with the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, led by the ECA Executive Secretary Vera Songwe, on February 5, the ministers unanimously called for additional liquidity of $500 billion in special drawing rights, better market access, more concessional resources, and an extension in the Debt Service Suspension Initiative, DSSI, given the prolonged nature of the pandemic. The ministers also asked for equitable access to COVID-19 vaccines as an imperative for building forward better. According to Songwe, the objective of the meeting was to seek IMF support in forging a way out of the crisis by transforming existing liquidity instruments and easing market access to alleviate the debt burden and provide much-needed liquidity for the continent. Namibia's national carrier Air Namibia has stopped all operations, cancelling the grounding all aircraft starting Thursday. The airline urged all customers to cancel reservation and request refunds. The announcement leaves more than 600 employees without jobs, and though employees will receive a basic salary for the next 12 months, they will not receive any benefits. State-owned Namibian Broadcasting Corporation reports the airline has been having operational issues, with the latest being last week's resignation of its board members who accused the government of interference. And in sports, Al Ahly is set to face Palmeiras on Thursday afternoon in the third-place final. Nicknamed the African Club of the Century, being the record African Champions League winner, Al Ahly was quite impressive against overwhelming European champions FC Bayern. FIFA legends Mascherano and Julio Cesar lauded the African club champions and spoke glowingly of the quality of Egyptian football. They left a very positive impression on how Egyptian football has evolved in recent years, said Javier Mascherano, the former Argentina, Barcelona and Liverpool defender. For Julio Cesar, former Brazil and Inter Milan goalkeeper, Al Ahly were brave against Bayern. Al Ahly faces Brazilian side Palmeiras on Thursday, with the third place in the FIFA Club World Cup at stake. This will be the first time the two clubs have met in a competitive match as the Egyptian go in search of the club World Cup bronze medal for the second time in their history. That is Africa Now on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS TV. For more updates, do visit our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. Do follow and like TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS TV Network. I am Adesuwa Osui. Bye for now.